that we're going to hear from. I want to just take a quick minute to give a shout out to Councilman Russ Pulley, who is with us behind me, and also to remind you that we appreciate all your hard work that you've done to go into this PIP. It is possible that not every PIP will be chosen. It doesn't mean it's not a great idea. It means that it may need some extra work or some additional opportunity in year 2 or year 3. So take it away. You've got 7 minutes.
Thank you. With me today I have Keith Durbin, Director of Metro ITS, also Aaron Williams, who works in the Mayor's Office of Neighborhoods and Community Engagement, Ed Gildenhayes, who is also with Metro ITS, and Colleen Herndon. And so we'll jump right into it. Metro government has a constituent experience problem. Many Nashvillians are disconnected from Metro government and lack the ability to direct their requests to the proper agencies and departments that can best respond to their concerns. Nashville's population is growing at an estimated average rate of 80 new residents a day, many of whom are millennials. Metro needs an efficient and responsive program with appropriate technology as a key component to effectively provide services and information to an ever-growing, diverse, and often tech-savvy population. There's no central location for citizens of Davidson County to access Metro government services, and the customer service experience provided by Metro departments and agencies is not uniform. Today, constituents take their concerns to Metro Council members, council staff, the mayor's office, or directly to departments. Departmental response and tracking of constituent requests is varied and inconsistent. Some departments have tracking systems, while others do not. The systems used by different departments are mostly siloed and do not communicate with each other, which impacts tracking, reporting, and data collection. Finding information about neighborhood construction, permits, and other services that Metro provides is often difficult and may require contacting several departments. Simply put, access to Metro government depends on knowing who to contact, and often our constituents don't. Our solution is to provide easy access to Metro government so everyone in every community has an opportunity to participate. We propose to do this through a central community response management system, accessible in multiple languages via multiple channels. The Hub facilitates two-way communication between government and Nashvillians, and also between Metro departments to make responses more efficient, accountable, and streamlined. The goal is to improve the constituent experience and overall community relations to increase confidence in government and government efficiency. Many growing cities like Austin, Charlotte, and Louisville have made the transition from a traditional customer service call center to a more agile CRM system. For example, beginning in 2008, Philly 311 has developed from a call center to a system accessible by call, social media, app, email, or walk-in. Their evolving response center has seen increased contacts and has been recognized and awarded for their success in providing service and collecting data. More importantly, the residents of Philadelphia are utilizing the system. A quick glance at the Twitter feed for Philly 311 shows an engaged and responsive government interacting with residents. Nashville is ready for the same. Our new hub will allow constituents to share concerns using multiple access points, phone, app, email, website, or walk-in in multiple languages. When a request is received, the system will automatically generate a contact to the appropriate department or departments for a response. The system will also send updates to the customer, the constituent, in the form they choose to receive, whether by text, email, or etc., until the issue is resolved and closed. The request is also mapped and visible to the public so others can see issues in their neighborhood and follow the progress of resolution. The Hub also creates an archive of historical data for institutional knowledge and future use. Departments can use this data to support their budget requests and to create a better informed budget. This incentivizes departments to increase community engagement and improve their constituent response. For the Hub to work, it will take support and participation from the mayor's office, the Metro Council, Metro departments, and the community at large. We're asking for a project manager to oversee implementation and coordinating training around the hub, a change manager to drive and guide the culture change the CRM will have on various Metro departments, a capital investment of $1.46 million in a customer relationship management system that will integrate with existing department systems and provide multi-language capability in multiple channels, and Metro Government Information Technology Services to maintain the system. We have also drafted an RFI to receive interest from contractors that have the capacity to help Nashville develop the CRM and estimated the cost to inform the budget process. The hub ensures all constituents of Metro Nashville-Davidson County get a clear, unified response to their requests from government departments. The hub supports expanding community engagement responsibility to all Metro departments. Providing an easy way for people from every community to engage with Metro will eliminate barriers and increase opportunities for everyone to participate in their government. Mayor Berry recently spoke at an event and stated that the one thing that we do well in the South is call and response. She followed by greeting the crowd until she received the proper response. We think that Nashville citizens deserve the same thing, a proper response when they call on their government. To conclude, Metro has an amazing resources in its employees. Across all departments, experts are working to provide excellent service to Nashvillians, and we need to give our employees the support and tools to work together, learn from past efforts, and clearly report results to the constituents of Nashville. Thank you.
This seems like a combination of a CRM tool like Salesforce and an IT help desk type tool. Are there shelf products we can use that don't have to be built from the ground up?
There are, and
Which
many
ones?
other cities are. Salesforce actually responded to our RFI, but there were 13 responses from other companies that are doing this in other cities, from Denver to Louisville, Austin, Charlotte. We're just behind the 8 ball.
Which city you think does the best, and what tool are they using?
The city that the model that we like the most is the Philadelphia model, because it also, not only is the tool a great tool that they put in place, but it also engages the public in a way that creates volunteer opportunities to help lead the tool and engage the community with the tool. And so they've created a customer experience that involves volunteers from the community to help lead the charge with the Office of Neighborhoods, equivalent Office of Neighborhoods in Philadelphia.
Do you need a person to do culture change if you have that kind of volunteer army and a whole community of citizens using it?
I think you need it initially because that volunteer army won't be in place. They won't know how to utilize the system at first. And really the culture changes with Metro departments because we do not have a centralized system right now. Each department responds to constituents based on their culture and climate in their individual departments. But that needs to be more uniform, and constituents need to have an experience across all departments.
And last question for me, what kind of savings will we get from other departments if all the requests come in central instead of to each department? Is this duplicative of what everybody else is doing, or are you replacing cost in every department?
No, so this is really going to inform where resources should be spent in Metro government. If everyone can see what the concerns and requests from constituents are, what the priorities from the community are, then we have a better informed budget process, and we're more efficient with resources that we're spending.
So let me ask the question again. So we could actually cut some cost of incoming inquiries into various
We believe
departments?
so. Other cities have.
Okay, thank you.
Some innovation is high-tech, obviously, but some innovation can be low-tech. Have you looked at ways that workers we have out in the field, in the community, can interact with citizens on the same block in which they're working? In other words, some cities, if a citizen asks for trash to be picked up, then they wait a certain amount of time before someone comes out and determines if that's something Metro will pick up, then they'll call Metro. But in some cities, they arm their workers with a roll of stickers, for instance, that they can find out that there's somebody on their block that has requested Metro services. They can go right then and there, respond to it so that it can be followed up with. Do you follow me?
Yes,
Okay.
certainly.
Okay. Have you looked into how to maximize this communication by arming people in the field on the same block of constituents that have asked for services?
I think we have, and I'll use the example of, we really thought about council members when developing this type of system, because they're probably the direct connect to neighborhood issues and concerns, and they're the first people, in most cases, that constituents go to. But right now, they don't have a central system. They have to communicate with all these different systems and departments to be able to even respond to their constituents. This would allow them to enter into the central system and be able to report back or allow their constituents to see what they're doing in a very real-time way, where the constituents could track the concern from beginning to resolve. And so we feel that for Public Works employees or Metro Water, they will have the same access to be able to use this in real time to address concerns while they're in communities.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
My only question is a concern, and how would you address that? We spend a lot of money on other systems, CityWorks, and what assurance do we have that this is going to be able to be integrated with these other existing systems so that we can, have shared data and things of that nature? Is that something you've thought about?
That's something that we have required as part of the RFI, that we ask contractors, have they integrated with systems that are used widely across other cities. CityWorks is one, of course, Kiva is one that we're using, is going away, but these other companies have worked with these programs and systems before, and they have integration points, and if there aren't integration points already out there, they can build them, and that's built into the budget that we've created also.
Former role as a council member, which you served for 8 years,
Yes.
how do you see this working with the council? Is that a critical piece of this as well?
I see this being a great tool for both council members and the council office. The council office takes care of a lot of requests, but they are undermanned. I mean, you have 2 or 3 employees in the council office dealing with constituent concerns from 40 council members in 35 council districts. To be able to give constituents the power to both report themselves firsthand, but also give the council office the ability to track and make sure that we're held accountable for everything that's being reported real time is going to be very valuable. Council members have also expressed concerns around being able to access permits from codes or permits from Public Works that may be out there and not have real-time access, and they have to go request it. It takes days for them to hear back. By that time, the constituent that may have approached them about a situation is already frustrated. This takes away a lot of that frustration, being able to access data and have it in an open data format.
Thank you.
Well, as a former councilman, I think this is absolutely something that we've discussed in the past, and being able to have constituents get real-time information and responses is what government should be able to do. So I'm excited about this project, and I will give Talia the last 13 seconds.
Okay. I have a budget question.
Yes.
You said that you need 1.4 million of capital.
Yeah.
Is that your estimate for the complete project, or what you're thinking of as phase 1 of a project? And then second of all, the FTEs that you've requested, are those non-recurring, so that once the
They are.
system is up, those positions go away?
They are non-recurring, and those positions are part of the 1.46 million.
So they are?
they're contracted to complete the project, implement the system. There is ongoing expense that we budget in ITS for maintenance of the system, and also for how we will control the system and operate the system beyond the implementation point. Thank you.
That's it, thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for being here.
got a mic now.
You did, you started it, Quite a crew there. Did you guys want to stand up here? Come up there, y'all. To Talia?
To Zach.
Zach.
Ma'am. Can I have everybody?
I haven't done mine.
You're not getting mine.
Don't think just because you're the mayor now.
Oh, honey, trust me. I've got a whole thought process. All right, are we ready? Okay, great. We are back. We are back with our public investment plans, digital inclusion, and Keith is going to kick us off. I did just want to give a special shout out to Councilman Russ Pulley, who is with us, and also to Jackie Schrago, who has joined us, who was recognized by the White House earlier last week as a champion of change. And Jackie, we are so excited that you're here today. Thank you. I said this before, but I want to just reiterate, not all PIPs will potentially make it to the finish line. It doesn't mean that you might not have a great idea. It may mean that it's just not at the right place at this moment or needs some additional fleshing out. So we appreciate all the work you've already put into this, and we'll kick it off to you. Go ahead, Keith.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. The people in this room have no need to be reminded that Nashville is the it city. However, that does not apply equally across the board. This is Sarah. She's one of the lucky ones. According to Pew Internet Research, 58,000 families in Davidson County do not have access to the internet or a device or understand the relevance of having those things in their homes today. Sam here is an MNPS student. According to MNPS's own 2012 survey, 44% of their students in 2012, over 35,000 students, likewise did not have access to a device or internet to do their work. This is in a school district that has rightly committed itself to inclusion of technology or blended learning in all of their activities. That means being able to do their homework as well. We truly have a digital divide between the digital haves like Sarah and the have-nots like Sam. However, over the last couple of years, there have been a number of ongoing efforts that are working to bridge this divide with organizations such as Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee and their Digital Inclusion Fund, Anytime Access for All in the schools, and Connect Home, which is a HUD program that's being currently piloted in the MDHA. So there are activities that are going on for this. However, these activities are certainly at their beginning stages, but we do believe that with a collective impact approach where each of our organizations brings the talents we have to the table, we can make a true difference in this space. What you're going to see in our PIP is related to a couple of years experience with these programs, determining what lessons have we learned and approaching you with some items that can help address this. Don't get me wrong, there is no silver bullet to this issue here or anywhere else. What we're trying to do is apply our lessons and move forward in this approach. We're going to look at this from three different aspects. First, from the community, then specifically for MNPS students, and finally for MDHA's residents. So the PIP is divided into three separate components. Let's start with our community overall. The first request is that you refund the $100,000 grant that was started last year by Mayor Dean to the Digital Inclusion Fund hosted at Community Foundation. Community Foundation has acted both as an organizer in this space as well as an asset aggregator to bring together others in the community who are interested in helping fund these activities along with involvement from Metro government. Secondly, one of the real lessons learned that we have from our Anytime Access program, which is in its pilot out at Hunters Lane today, we have learned that there is no single person within the school system whose job it is, though we have many committed people, there's no one whose job it is to add a consistent and organized manner, organize principals, teachers, students, families, the community at large, and make sure they're aware of and taking advantage of the programs we have available. So we're asking for a digital inclusion leader, fully funded at $107,000 a year to do that work within the school district. And then our third approach is for MDHA residents. So we would like to look at how can we address what we have found over the last couple of years to be the biggest issue within Nashville. That is having internet access for families. So I wanted to also break this down into 3 separate sub-options on how you might be able to approach this issue. The first issue is kind of the swinging for the stands approach. The mayor and I had a text message campaign back in January where she asked me the question, what would it take to just fix this connectivity issue for MDHA properties? She asked, and one way to do it is to blanket Metro Public Wi-Fi over MDHA properties. We've run the numbers with my staff, and to do that for a combined capital and operating number would be $17.7 million over 3 years, a significant investment. A second approach to that is to look at options on how we could use existing commercial facilities but subsidize that and treat internet as a utility just as Mr. Harbison pays for electricity. What about him paying for internet at a reduced rate that are available from lots of government properties today? Running that for 3 years would be $1.67 billion. And there are lots of opportunities that are growing in this area as well. The third option would be a continuation of a program that we currently have in place. My staff has worked to extend Metro Public Wi-Fi to 3 community centers within MDHA properties. We're working on the 4th. To finish out the rest of the community centers within MDHA and provide that so a student has at least somewhere to go that's very close to their home would be 3-year capital and operating cost of $115,000. So finally, how do we measure this? With our experience and with the others around the country who are also addressing this, there are a couple of things that we know we're going to do. First off, we are going to be able to measure student impact, not only on performance, but also impacts on behavior. Through our partnership with MNPS and their very robust data warehouse, we have the ability to apply a number of different metrics, inclusion, adoption, to look at that. Secondly, within the Connect Home program for MDHA, we also have the ability to look very specifically at resident adoption and the impact on residents. And finally, the U.S. Census has started doing annual census updates about internet usage and availability of internet. So we will be able to, over time, compare Nashville to Nashville over multiple years, as well as compare ourselves broadly with other cities. And that concludes this presentation. And I would like to take just a minute and make sure you know who I've got with me. So of course, you know Jackie Schrago, we're happy to have her. Mr. Harbison and Ben Bentley from MDHA. Marion Chrisman and Kent Oliver from Nashville Public Library. Ellen Lehman and Christine Pulley from the Community Foundation of Tennessee. Lonell from the Mayor's Office. Laura Hanson and Fred Carr from MNPS. And I appreciate them all being here today to support this.
Great. We appreciate all you being here. Thank you. Questions, folks? Do you want to tell you?
You threw out a couple statistics at the beginning. You said 58 families don't have access to the internet.
58,000.
58,000 families or individuals?
58,000 families.
Families, and 44% of MPS students don't have access.
In 2012, there was a study called TEP study that was done in 2012 with MNPS, so it's MNPS's known numbers. That is the most recent statistic we have, and obviously it's 4 years.
So what do you think this proposal is going to do to those numbers?
We think
Okay, do you think 58 goes to 50, or do you think 58 goes to 57?
We have not looked at that across the board, but we certainly feel like with the pilot that's being done in MNPS, we're finishing the first 100 pilot at Hunter's Lane right now. We're looking at continuation of that at Hunter's Lane, which effectively, from my understanding, the entire school applies for this. And we're also looking to branch out to Apollo Middle and potentially others in the next school year. From MDHA, and Ben, you may remember the specific numbers, we have the goal of reaching 560 families of the 14,000 residents of MDHA by this summer. So while we have short-term goals, we haven't actually projected this out longer term in a holistic manner.
Okay, and my final question is, who's missing from this bucket? If this is our pilot group that we're starting with, where's the greatest need in the other area?
So this is something that's close to Ellen's heart and mind. Within the Digital Inclusion Fund, we have identified 7 different subgroups, including the medically fragile, the recently incarcerated, the elderly. At this point in time, based upon the needs of our school students, this has been our focus at this point. Ellen and I are working very closely to work toward a solution to around the medically fragile. We've been talking, especially Ellen has been talking to people at Vanderbilt. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Ellen?
No, I just,
Step to the microphone.
Yes.
we very purposely chose digital inclusion as the name as opposed to digital divide, because we know that no one in this community can get a job unless they have basic computer skills. So we're looking at the unemployed and the underemployed in addition to the other categories that Keith named. The reality is that whenever we read an article about bringing people in to make sure we have a workforce available for all these companies that are moving here, this can be part of the solution to that, helping people be able to access a job and giving these kids and young people who may be disenfranchised with public school a new sense of their future and their possibilities and the tools to succeed in the workforce of not only today but also tomorrow.
But this particular project is just with kids.
This one is
families.
focused on schools and families at MDHA.
Right.
The Connect Home program from HUD is focused on school-aged children in these properties.
Michael?
On your option 3, how many community centers, what's the seat capacity, so we can understand how many people could be served per day?
Mr. Harbison, Ben?
Because it's for 100,000, I'm just wanting to know what's the capacity of 100,000?
Yeah, so there are about 21 public housing properties that we would be serving through this. About 5,500 families live in those properties, but as most of you are probably familiar with Metro Wi-Fi, it would not just be the families that live in those properties that would be affected. There would be a number of other people in the surrounding communities that would have access to internet service through these Metro Wi-Fi hotspots. So it's hard to say how many additional families, but at a minimum, the 5,400.
So my follow-on is 20-some locations?
Yes, sir.
And how much equipment do they have in case they don't have a computer in those locations?
In terms of devices and
In
support for
devices, because we talked about the shortage of both Wi-Fi and devices.
Sure. So we're working with the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee and the Digital Inclusion Fund. They've been fantastic partners in Connect Home. We believe that the device situation, we have a great supply and we're continuing to build that supply out. So we will have devices for each of our residents.
Is there a current supply within these 21 centers, or have you got to do that
We
still?
will have to make applications through the Digital Inclusion Fund. And in terms of their current supply, I would defer to them.
So this gets us, this money gets us to light up those community, and then we still got to get the devices there for young people who have no device? I'm just trying to understand what do you get on option 3 for the 100,000?
So what you're getting exclusively the connectivity for the 100,000 in the community centers.
Okay.
One of the programs and the model we're using here is providing a device, connectivity, and training around the relevance of why you need to be online.
Sure.
So we have a large balance in an account for devices at the Community Foundation that both Anytime Access and the Connect Home program can apply to get them through the course of the project. Both projects are anticipated as they mature to expand out within all MDHA properties and throughout the school system as well.
So this funding is primarily to light it up?
It's to light it up, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. That was where I was trying to go with.
So, quick question. Kent, when you came for your budget conversation with the libraries, you asked for $100,000 to buy 100 hotspots, which would be things that you could just check out and take home with you, free. So,
Kent.
here, you can come up here. So why wouldn't I be looking at investing more in that, because then that family could take it home, or...
I think you definitely could. What we were looking at in our budget process was 100 hotspots as a pilot that we would check out to get a sense before we did a large investment, because we believe that not only do students potentially have a device that they can use, but we also see it as an adult and family type of thing as well. And all of the folks that we serve will not necessarily be students. There may be individuals, single folks that need that type of access as well. But I do think down the road, the hotspots could potentially solve the problem here.
Right. I mean, is it potentially more cost-effective for us to have these hotspots that you take out as opposed to $17.7 million to blanket MDHA? And I don't know the answer, but I'm asking.
Right.
What we found is hotspots are not necessarily a good option, and so that's why we're looking at other directions.
Okay.
There are options in this arena.
And which is why we're doing it as a pilot rather than trying to roll out 1,000 at the beginning and go with it.
Okay.
Have you looked at other cities and which options they're using?
We have. Boston has a great model. Kansas City, Austin, we spent a lot of time looking at their models, and they are, their problem is not necessarily the connection. Their problems are the computers, which is something they're looking at us to see the model we haven't put in place. What they are more apt to do is say, hey, here's a website. There's a group called everyoneon.org, which is a collaborative from a number of different organizations. They're more apt to say, here's Everyone On, go get your connectivity, whereas we are much more in tune with, let's see what we can do to help make sure you not only have that device, but you're getting that connectivity. So we're working very closely with Comcast and AT&T and Google and others to help make that happen, as well as the people at Everyone On.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Thank you so much.